the first decade I was out of high school to stay in touch with me. And I think all of us that get into this racket coach more like we were coached by those high school coaches that put us on the right track than the guys that coached us in college. Not that we didn't have good college coaches, but very transactional, even more so today. And what I learned from Tim, next to my wife and my children and my grandchildren, my coaching staff is the best affirmation I have. Out of my 13 varsity coaches, 8 of them played for me, went on and played, and now they're back pursuing their coaching careers. You know, I get a lot of this time, and there's some, you know, guys in here that might have been at this a little bit longer than me even, but I've paid attention to guys a decade older than me over the last 2 decades, and I watched a whole bunch of them race to retirement, go play golf for a couple of years, and then come back and coach. And so I've very fortunate to have created this program where, man, I'm just going to hang around. I'm going to bypass that golf stuff, and I'm just having a blast. Now, that leads me into this topic that, quite frankly, just like you know, 4 years ago, all of our college coaching buddies come into our offices, and they all look tired, and they look beat down, and man, I thought, holy cow, if I've hit that point where the sky's falling and everybody's glass is moving to half full, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So I thought maybe there's a way to make lemonade. And we are so close to TCU, fast and wide. You know, what drew me to that with Randy is I love the things. You know, I was a Tony Franklin guy back in 2007 on, and learning tempo from Tony and having that wave to ride for about 3 to 4 years before anybody was doing it was great. The fast and wide thing that Randy initiated, I was attracted to it, saw it during COVID, and thought, yeah, I want to be a part of something that nobody else is going to let guys in. But I've also got Kendall Bryles, the son of my team. So I've kind of got insight to what you guys are talking about today through a different lens, not only Randy's, but the NIL piece. When this hit me, I thought, you know, it ain't going away. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. So how do we take things back? And if there are any old Franklin guys in here, about 6-7 years ago, Tony put something out on how to take your quarterbacks back from the gurus. And so the NIL for me was, how can I educate my community? I don't want to profit off NIL, but I want to retain my customer base. I don't want to recruit. I want to attract people to my program, and I butt up to Alito, right? So there are all kinds of folks attracted to that program. I live in Colleyville. We hate Southlake. A lot of people attracted to that. So taking bits and pieces from those programs that I've studied, how do I implement some of those things into mine? Well, the NIL space at the high school level in Texas, when TCU approached me, was non-existent. And what is it? You know, that's the quarterback going to Texas getting paid $5 million. How's that relevant to anything that I'm going to do? But what I really learned over the last 4 years is the NIL space is just for entrepreneurs. And yes, football gets the lion's share of the attention, then basketball, then girls basketball. But this is a class you can take at our school. It's an elective. And now when you go to that class, there are more what we call NARPs. Everybody know what a NARP is? Non-athletic regular people in that class than there are football players. Because in the state of Texas, kids still can't activate their NIL. Now, in every state that touches us, they can. I will bet you within 12 months, kids in Texas will be able to activate their NIL, because now kids are leaving, walking across the border to Louisiana and Oklahoma to get paid. And so I wanted to control the narrative in my program, not if, but when it hit, that we could talk about this, educate our parents, help our kids who are in the transfer portal, maybe with years left, and to where they don't get taken advantage of. And since we started this, this is a lot of money. Maybe in the big scheme of things, it doesn't sound like a lot, but our football alumni in our program now through the transfer portal over the last 48 months have earned about $2.6 million. And so what's about to happen in April, that money's about to go up again. And in the Dallas-Fort Worth, how many guys in Dallas-Fort Worth are there? So you know this to be true. The transfer portal in the Dallas-Fort Worth area looks like college. within high schools. I'm not talking about private school. I'm talking about open enrollment public schools, everywhere you go. And, you know, my competitive high school days were in the 70s. I'm not relevant anymore in regards to how Coach Edwards coached me, but I want to be relevant for the next decade on how I manage and handle my program. And that's where the NIL piece comes in. Now, when TCU came over to present this to me after I listened to it for about an hour, I was like, man, I'm not connecting you to my, I got like 2 calls a year I can make to my association where they're actually going to pay attention to me. I'm not burning one of my calls on this, but I will pay you if you'll write curriculum for me and my football program. Well, they called me back about 2 weeks later and said, well, we don't really know how to do that, but if you'll come join our team at Neely School of Business, we'll write it together. So we spent 6 months writing the curriculum. We used our parent base at All Saints as a focus group. After the TCU gang came over and presented that, man, our parents came to me and went, Coach, holy cow, we had no idea. Thank you for putting us on the cutting edge. Now, we tweaked some things over the summer, and then I'm really, really fortunate we're so close to TCU that the professors that wrote this curriculum came over and taught the class at our school. Once we fine-tuned it and lived through a recruiting process, then I got real comfortable in coming out and starting to talk about it to you. Because I wasn't going to present this to people until I did it for a year or two, made sure I had a track record of something that was successful, and it has far exceeded my expectations to the point that Randy mentioned the class he came and took. Once we got out and about, then TCU called me back and said, hey, we're going to make this a continuing education program here at the school for high school coaches, administrators. We've got a session next week, Thursday and Friday. Superintendent from Burleson's coming. I mean, started out kind of in the private school space. Now it's expanding out into the public school space. I say this tongue in cheek a little bit because at the core, I grew up in public. I didn't know private school existed. I was the first guy in my family to get to go to college. So I'm still independent school, public school. There's ways for all that to get together. And now, for me, in the next 5 years, I'm out and about with some of my public school friends saying, hey, let me show you how not to lose a kid to Parish Episcopal or Prestonwood or All Saints. Let me show you some things that we're doing in our program. We're not out knocking doors to recruit players. We just created some brands that attract. We're not a big school, got 100 kids a grade, got 400 kids in the high school, had 17 seniors this year, and we signed 11. All the way from little D3 to Power 5 and everything in between. And again, that's been an attraction to our school. And now the NIL, our families have that education where they don't have to get caught up in the street hustling AAU basketball scene. They can manage their own kids' recruiting. And it's like walking on quicksand today. What this program with TCU has done for me is I get immediate updates in regards to legislature that's changing automatically to present to my families on what's coming, what's changing. I don't know about you, but I've made a pretty good niche at our school in placing PWOs. I've got 2 PWOs at UT. I've got 3 at TCU. I've got 1 at Northwestern, on and on and on. That's been a nice thing for us. That's about to change. Now, the trick is nobody's the same. You know, they all think they've solved it. When Texas Tech comes to visit you and talks about how they're going to do it, and TCU and Oklahoma State, nobody is the same. And so that's the other piece that is really giving us an advantage. What I want to encourage you to do, and I'm going to be here this afternoon, I'll have some business cards in the back. If it's something you want to learn more about, really how we go to market with it, I'm happy to share with you everything we do. I would encourage you, if you can, throughout the course of the year, TCU they'll offer as many as you want, but they've got 4 dates set for that certification class. And again, it's continuing ed hours, you get a certificate. And for what I've done in my athletic department, all sports, not just football, is if my coaches want to get the certification, then we co-teach that class. So I've got about 7 coaches that have gone through that certification that teach the NIL class at our school, and the line form's left to get in. Now here's the lemonade for us. We made some rules in regards to getting into the class, because the love language for a kid is what? Swag, and likes and followers. Well, we've taken kids through this class and moved their followership from 500 to 400,000. So this is the trick in the state of Texas right now, where the kid can't activate his or her NIL yet. They can brand themselves, so they have something to sell. And that's the entrepreneurial piece of this and the direction you can go. It's a lot, but we're not losing kids from our program, right? And so that retention piece and the value add that I feel like I've got to go in every single day and provide to our community is the bang for the buck for me. And 2 years ago when I spoke, I think at Randy at North Forney, I had the 2 TCU professors with me, and the room was a little bit bigger than this and a few more bodies. And we got up to talk. Now these guys are professors, they're not football guys. They froze. Y'all scared the shit out of them. And so it was a ton of fun for me personally. And then when we got back to the school, one of the professors went, "Man, I can't do that ever again. I can't get in front of her like that." And the other guy was, "Oh no, that was awesome. That was a great experience. I loved it." So we've been out and about. The curriculum now, I think we've got it in, I lose track, 12, 15 schools that are now also teaching the class. So however I can help you,
Aaron,
please let me know. And any questions right off the bat, happy to answer.
let me ask this. So when Aaron first told me about this, I said, Aaron, if I go to my counselors at North Forney, they're going to say, we don't want to add a class. Like, who's going to teach it? You know, like, if Coach Carey at Tomball Memorial, his counselor's probably going to tell him the same. Like, we don't, our schedule is locked in. So how can someone help their kid with NIL and not teach the class? Is that possible?
So absolutely. So you could be, if you take the class, get the certification, you could just, quite frankly, just teach that to your football team. I mean, you could do that yourself. Now, next week, in the next certification, Coach OZ, the superintendent from Burleson ISD, is coming because they want to add it. So a couple of years ago, that thought process was, man, that's a pain in the butt. But now, holy cow, North Forney has become the new Cedar Hill, and kids are shifting like crazy from open enrollment school to open enrollment school. So now that talk is, man, we've got to do some things internally to make sure we don't lose our kids.
So if you're at a school and there's other schools around, you all know this, we got to recruit our own kids. And I think you got to make it a program they can't live without. And that's why I love daily team meeting and dialogue. And if you want them to lay in traffic for you, they have to know you. They have to think. Like, I remember a kid at North Forney, and his dad played for the Oklahoma and this and that. And I remember he was not an easy kid to coach. And I remember his dad saying, Coach, don't worry about Corey. He knows you have his best interest at heart. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, you know. And Corey plays in the XFL now, so he was a dude. But what if you added, hey, not only am I going to be your dad and I'm going to talk to you 10 minutes a day about stuff other than football, but what if you added NIL? Now I also want to help you make money. Like, I don't really think coaches recruit a whole lot, but I think players from teams say, you ought to come here because we do a lot of cool stuff, you know. So I think that would be my thing even now.
You're right, because 10 years ago, I don't think any of us had listed on our staff directory recruiting coordinators, right, when that all evolved. Well, now NIL coordinators are going to be the same thing. Bless you, over the next 5 to 10 years.
So, besides getting certification through TCU, like this curriculum you speak about, is this like once you have a certification, you're going to have what you need to teach it on your own, or is there some kind of curriculum you can buy that at least guides you what you need to do?
Yeah, so the first step is you get your certification, then TCU has curriculum that comes along with that. And once you take it, you understand it, man, it's day by day. on man, everything from how to become an influencer to how you're going to get taxed on things that you earn and that you're given. So that and for me, and I bet you guys too, if my coaching staff, my guys and gals that have gone to do it, they all have different niches. Like I've got one guy that was a banker before he got into coaching, so he takes the finance section. Got another gal that was an attorney before she got into coaching, so she takes the law section. But for the first 2 years of school, I didn't, because I wanted to make sure that it was implemented the right way, and that kids took it serious. And then, like everything else, word of mouth spread, and hey, let's take that class. So,
What about for us guys that aren't local?
that aren't local, yeah. So that's the thing. The first group we got in of schools to help, bless you, were not local, because when I spoke to North Forney, the first guys that came running me were the guys where you could activate your NIL out of state, and they're like, we don't know what to do, right? The laws, the rules, and all these kind of things, and so help creating brands for kids and negotiating those deals, and through a fluke, these professors were in my office, and I got a call from one of the players in the transfer portal. They said, Coach, I think I'm being taken advantage of. Can I just have everybody call you? And we said, absolutely. This kid's money went from $30,000 to $450,000. And so our program, along with TCU, were able to help guide this. Now, I will tell you right now, collegiately, this is not TCU athletics. This is TCU business school. They are on the cutting edge for all universities. Last year, when Saban retired, Rodney D'Souza is the professor who works with me. Alabama had flown him out to talk about the curriculum, and he sent me a text. He goes, I think Saban just quit because I came out here to talk about NIL. I mean, it was kind of, the timing was kind of interesting, but the point to that is, TCU really validated this for me. Right? I don't think I'd be here talking to you if there wasn't a think tank behind what's going on in regards to this space.
Yeah. And if you graduate, like I took the class and got certified, so now I tell everyone I'm a TCU graduate.
Yeah.